Alright, hi there, welcome to the Wack Radio podcast. This is going to be the Untitled podcast, as we don't quite have a name for it quite yet. Today I'm joined by Ian.
What's good?
And Yoni.
Well, hello there.
It's going to be an alternated cast as we sort of figure out what exactly this podcast is going to be. Before we continue, this podcast is going to be at least 18 plus, so to anyone who has an issue with swearing or any sort of profanity, I warn you ahead of time, and from here on out, our language will no longer be censored. So, today we're going to talk about personas, and we're going to talk about the sort of impact they have upon modern hip-hop and music, and then also looking at their past and how they've been used. At the end of the podcast, we're going to try wrapping up by looking at sort of our projected projects for the rest of 2018, what we look at as sort of our highlights, and then also going into early 2019, who we're looking forward to possibly releasing more or new music. So to start the topic today of personas, the reason we're even here in the first place is kind of because of the fact that 6ix9ine just got landed in jail, and not only to get landed in jail, he's serving possibly 25 to 100 years because of the fact that he's basically
Which is quite a few.
Continue, sorry.
No, 25 to 100 is quite a few. That's all I was saying.
It's more than a few. Beyond being a few, it kind of makes me feel like, what do you have to do to get landed up there? And when we're talking about personas, we talk about 6ix9ine because his whole shit is basically, hey, I'm a troll, and I give zero fucks about what you think of me or my opinions, and I'm going to take it as far as possible. So much so that he's been going against other Bloods, which are part of his own gang, like The Game and YG. People who are notoriously just, don't fuck with them. Like,
have history in the Blood Gang before him.
Yeah, more than even before him, they have higher, I would say, authority than him, and they've got more to speak upon when it comes to, I would say, his situation.
They've earned their stripes.
I agree.
And so we talk about personas and basically the idea that where they can be harmful. And so we look at 6ix9ine's persona of basically being a troll, and the idea that there will never be a behind the scenes of that because his persona is the only part shown to the public. And you can see where this kind of lands him in trouble when basically the lines between trolling and malicious intent become skewed.
Mm-hmm.
You've got that video that came out the other day. There was a 30K hit he put on Tato, Chief Keef's cousin, that video that was rolling around the other day? You guys see that?
Yeah, the FaceTime.
I'm not sure if that was fake. People were going around saying that was fake, but I don't care if that's fake. He shouldn't be trying even running that video in the first place. That's not a troll you try.
Right. I think it starts more to the fact that, like, what I've at least heard is that, like, what 6ix9ine's connections are to the Bloods themselves, and, like, more or less, like, how when he started, like, if you go back and look at his first video that blew him up, very little Blood influences in that. Why? Because before that popped off with Shoddy, his manager, he wasn't even considered a Blood. He wasn't running around saying Treyway or any of that.
Yeah, he
right?
wasn't Treyway affiliated. Not
Yeah,
he doesn't know. He didn't
wasn't.
know at the point.
Exactly. So what happens is that if someone now says, hey, you're a Blood for whatever reason, and 6ix9ine in his own way took it took it how he did, and I guess took it as a sign of power, more or less, to say, oh, well, screw everybody, right? Screw YG, screw everybody. So I think he took that, like, to an extreme, and obviously that doesn't work. That doesn't work in that realm. Excuse me.
You can see it didn't work. Otherwise, he wouldn't be landing where he is right now in the legal trouble.
Right, exactly. But anyone can tell you, hey, I wouldn't be doing that because you know damn well that's not going to work. So I think before you even get into a persona about 6ix9ine, before all of that, it needs to be known that this isn't something that, like, he's always been affiliated with. Like, this is something that he's taken upon himself
even
to
more than
blow
affiliated,
way out of proportion.
Even more than affiliated. Look back at, like, his old videos, even when he was doing something like the more scum gang shit, when he was working with what's his name out of fucking Morgue City, fucking Zillakami. When he was working with Zillakami and shit, like, way back when, like, yeah, there was a bunch of, like, fucked up shit in their videos, but it wasn't like this mob mentality as beforehand. The videos kind of had their own, like, directions, and then you look at, like, the shit that popped him off. What was it? Wasn't Gummo what popped him off in the first place, like, a year ago? That was the main shit that, like, popped him off. Or
honestly, bro, I don't listen to his music. So
I don't listen to his music enough to say exactly what popped
I
him
can't
off.
tell you. I really can't.
I've tried listening to his music. It's just not my style. But regardless,
unfortunately, it's not for me. But
yeah.
That's neither here nor there. That's not why we're talking about him.
Nah, but like, yeah, he popped up when he started popping off like dead ass. I remember like looking at his videos and you were like, yo, this dude is the new Bobby Shmurda. Just straight up, like being on the streets, just like dancing his ass off, like doing some dumb shit with a bunch of homies in New York.
Right.
And what happened to Bobby Shmurda?
Yeah, the same shit happened to Bobby Shmurda. Shmurda got locked up because he wasn't paying attention.
Well, yeah. And
it's playing the game hard, but
I mean, it's clear 6ix9ine is a little more observant than Bobby Shmurda, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I'm not gonna say that he's smarter than him, because even then I wouldn't.
He wouldn't have been talking shit if he was smart.
Exactly. Exactly. But what I will say is that 6ix9ine has at least, he's good at deferring the legality of issues to others, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
because Bobby got wrapped real quick.
Not only did Bobby get wrapped real quick, but Bobby got wrapped and no one was like, yo, what a surprise.
Yeah.
Like, it's unfortunately, it's the stereotype of these guys. Is that's what comes up. They come out of like sort of poverty, can't let go of the past they had, and then they basically get wrapped in it. But I think 6ix9ine was a little bit different because he kept trying to talk that shit even as he got big. Right.
Okay.
And so as we talk about personas, we're going to look at other instances of this going on. And unfortunately, persona is kind of the name of the game when it comes to 2008. I would say 16 to 18 rappers right now. Like you look like we talked about before this or before the podcast, sort of looking at different people. Pump's a really good example of this because Pump is a persona that most people don't quite understand. The aesthetic of him being just fucking stupid as all shit every time he can. And that is the persona itself. In addition, we look at other people. Unfortunately, I have to bring up X, sort of the persona between, because there's a persona in music. That is an actual thing you carry with you as well. And
absolutely.
Then looking just for more like bigger personas I can speak about, I think one of the easiest ones to always speak about, as we also said, would be Slim Shady, going all the way back. When Eminem basically was like, I'm not M anymore. This is Slim Shady. This isn't me. And
exactly.
So, when we're talking about harm of these people, the harm in these guys are the people who don't know the persona. I would say the good in this is basically the popularity. So you look at like 6ix9ine, we talk about you in both your opinions. Do you think you would have seen 6ix9ine on this radar if he wasn't a troll?
No, because that's a lot of it. That's over 60% of it. That's the thing.
Agreed. I think a lot of his trolling was just to get him noticed, and so he kept going with it. We keep getting more famous until I think he pushed it, whereas he didn't really need to keep trolling, but he was 6ix9ine, that's his thing, so fuck it.
I mean, I would agree, but I would say to a degree, I think he would have popped off maybe, but I think he would have been where Zillakami is right now, because he was basically the two of them did the exact same shit.
If not lower, because I think Zillakami is a better artist than 6ix9ine, but that's
but to be fair, like we can't really say that because remember, a lot of the people who were defending his music when it first came out were genuine fans of him. They found him through this trolling and his bullshit, but they were genuine fans of his music.
And I understand that, because my music taste is not the generic person's, and I've always known that. I think more or less that it's the trolling that pops off, and it's the trolling that blows up the music, right? And the music is catchy enough and vibes enough, and it's poppy enough for mainstream media to pick up and be like, oh, this is the next wave, so to speak,
agree.
right?
I would definitely agree. And I would say going into other people similar to that, we talked about, I brought up Pump and X because that is truly why those dudes came up. Pump knew his message from the start. Pump's like shit was like, yo, I'm gonna make some dumbass music, like some real stupid shit.
Exactly.
And he knew it was gonna be stupid shit from the beginning, but people caught on and they were like, yo, this shit slaps. I like it. I don't care if it's dumb. It's fun.
Right. And I think you see that like when, God forbid, I'll bring his name up, but the interview with Lil Yachty and Joe Budden.
Oh yeah.
Because remember, Joe Budden just kind of goes off on him, and every answer that Yachty has back to him is, no, industry doesn't tell me to say this or that we're all friends. Here's the deal. There is no real beef because I'm out here making good music and bad music. Not everything I throw out is going to be great. He said that. And to be honest, it isn't. And that's fine because he himself is putting out stuff he wants to, and he himself is having a blast doing it, and you can tell because he doesn't associate with all that extra beef and all that extra shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I think it's that I don't care mentality that Yachty takes, well, more or less that we're having fun and this is all a joke, like Pump takes, that 6ix9ine or 6ix9ine at least takes and moves it in a different direction. He takes it a lot more to the negative side with trolling and the backlash and the calling out hits and yada 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 this and all that. I think when it comes to more, if you looked at like Ugly God, like I said, Yachty, all these other people who are just trying to make music more or less for themselves, not even themselves, more or less as an outlet, it kind of, you can tell where the artist's at least head is at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I would
Right.
agree upon that. It's just like I feel
Like
like
you
there's
can tell where he wants to go with it. Like he wants to take it in a positive.
yeah, he wants to take it in a positive direction, and whether or not you can see through the sort of bullshit that he's putting as a persona
That
and
is
like
the lyrics. Yeah. Now, do you always see Pump take it in a positive way?
no,
No.
that I think that's a different thing. Yachty is his own persona and the idea
Yeah,
of what he's made.
exactly. But I think that's you have. But
What'd you call it?
the whole idea of personas is you have people who take, or people are going to view the same situation, and everybody's going to act differently.
Yeah,
So
I would say to agree. I mean, it's the whole idea of a persona is literally just that it is an alternate like version of yourself, or I would say like side of yourself to show people. And again, I brought up X because basically X is a really weird case because he's had what I would say is a multitude of personas that you go through are those emotional traumas that are being shown through are those real personas. And so for X, it's an interesting case where you see like his shit like when he was just before he passed away was sort of this reformation of what he had been before. It was just weird in between where it was like it was no longer that he was talking like he was invincible king of the world type shit. He went to let's spread love and positivity. The whole idea of what I am at this point is to go against what my music had originally standed for. I want you to understand my message.
yeah, exactly. And you can see that change in him. That's why he changed a lot of his hair colors, because he himself viewed it as going through stages of whatever he's going through. Because I don't even know what you want to call that, because I'm not him. I don't even know what it is. But I think, at least in my opinion, when it comes to the X controversy, I saw a huge change in him. Because if you look at the album I'm thinking of, Oliver?
The first one, are you
Revenge?
talking about 17?
No, Revenge. Or that's an EP, I guess.
The Revenge, what EP is Revenge off of? That's way back when. That still came out as a single on what's it called first though.
Yeah, but what was it? It was because it was Look at Me and Young Brats, that stuff. Like that X, that's the one I started with. That's where I started listening to X, and I was like, whoa, who is this? You know?
Yeah, like way back, because we started following him during the SoundCloud era, and that was when you could see like the true like raw of what was like raw emotion of what he was going through. And you remember what the fuck his like Snapchat and his Instagram and all that shit was? Remember when he fucking started talking about like I'm gonna fucking move Hurricane Harvey? That shit, don't worry about it. I'm gonna change it. Like you remember that?
Honestly, no, I don't remember that. But
That was funny. This shit was funny. I remember we were discussing this last year because I remember there was a line Kodak also had in that song with Black and that one girl. I forget the fucking where he like another line about changing the weather. When we were like, yo, so apparently everyone out of South Florida believes they can change the weather now.
It's part of the rapping game. You just get powers. It's like being.
That's how it is.
Dude, I'd love to acquire powers. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I definitely was not on X or the whole SoundCloud game that early, so I didn't get that much of information about it. And I don't have that much to put in for that conversation.
Okay, so looking from the outside in, then, as someone who saw X just basically rise in his popularity from the outside, did you have any idea of like sort of the persona he had been given off? The idea that of like, yeah, I went from basically the invincible man who I believe that everyone should think I'm invincible, I got powers like crazy, to all of a sudden like nice guy. Did you kind of see through the like personas, or did it just kind of seem like that's who he was?
No, I mean, I definitely think you could see through the progression he made over time. I think, like what you said, he was on his own. He was feeling like a god. He thought he could do his own shit, and if you rode with him, that's cool. If not, go fuck yourself. But over time, his music did change, and like the energy of it, the total amount of aggression you hear in the song, right, and the topics he was, singing about, got more serious, I would say, I guess, or relevant to the times, or more empathetic with the people. So yeah, I mean, I think I saw that change, but it definitely wasn't as obvious as for the people that have been sticking with him the whole way through.
Would you call it a persona, or would you just say that, like, in your opinion, is that just him? Like, just as someone who like, can you see through that as a persona, or was that to you more just like who he was?
For me, coming completely out of the blue, and looking at X almost only after he passed away, it kind of seems to me like that's who he was, which is kind of, scary, because I want to be able to see through where personas are. But just coming from the outside, it looks like that's just a progression he made as a person,
Yeah, which, I mean, again, that's part of the persona. It's the way it's perceived by others. It's whether you can see through it or not. It's still, that is them. But yeah, that is sort of that's the fear with personas that you have in music nowadays, is the people who can't really see through what the hell you're actually speaking about to see the genuineness. And because you even look back at old X shit, and even some of his old shit had like a message behind it, but the issue was it was clouded by aggression and sort of,
and frustration,
I would say, extremism.
Yeah, I mean, also that's the way to reach the most, honestly. If you don't go to the extremes, how are you gonna get seen?
I feel that for sure. So I have a question that raises a question for me then.
Lay it on us.
The comparison I wanted to make, at least, is take it back all the way before before all of the rappers we have started talking about tonight, even. Tyler, the Creator. When Tyler, the Creator came on the scene, we saw someone very controversial. Parents hated him, right?
Dude, the UK banned him.
The UK banned him. I believe Australia did too.
I think Australia did too.
Yeah.
A legend.
And now look at Tyler, the Creator. He's doing music for Illumination.
I mean, okay,
that's a huge change. That's all I'm talking about is the change.
Yeah.
And comparing it to what I was at least seeing there. Now, I'm not comparing the two. What I'm comparing is the fact that there was a change.
Was that a change in his persona, or are you saying that that's a change in his character?
That's a good point.
That's exactly what I was trying to raise.
In my opinion, yeah. I would say that old Tyler's persona, we've now seen genuine Tyler. I think Tyler killed his persona side of him and decided to just sort of show all emotions and roles, like the ideas that he has inside of him, and rather than just sort of elevate and point out only part of him to use as a persona.
Okay.
Would you agree, or would you say that it was more that that was just who he was back then?
I think I wouldn't necessarily say that he started being himself more, because I think that's still, you see that old like Loiter Squad, Tyler, the Creator, that
It still
That
exists
back
if
then,
that's what you're trying to
that's
say.
him. Yeah,
It's still
no,
projected
like
through his
that's
music.
still him. You know.
Well, yeah.
Like-
So I mean, the part of a persona is though there is a truth to the persona, as Yoni was sort of talking about. It's an aspect of someone's character, so it's a part of them that's like that like
Accentuated.
yeah, it's being accentuated and exercised to an excess degree that you couldn't even like normally fathom. So that's where I'm saying do you think that part of Tyler, that sort of trolly like persona part that he was trying to project, was really just him in his highest at that moment, or do you think back then that was truly just him escalating that intentionally to put as a persona, and that now he sort of just balanced all of his emotions and this is who he is in his music?
And just so we can cover it, how old was Tyler again?
Tyler was
back when he was
like,
band?
how old is Tyler now? I'll search that up.
Well, he was 15 when he first drew that donut, so he was probably 16 or 17.
Tyler the Creator is currently 27 years of age, and so he
This is
released
about 10 years ago, 2008.
yeah,
Well,
2009 was when Bastard like first came
Yeah.
out, so that was at the height of his like going crazy. Before that, he had the Odd Future tape, so let's go like 2007 to 2009. So yeah, between like 15 to 18.
Mm-hmm.
Full career. Wow, I didn't even realize it was that young.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah,
feel
dude
so
just had a really
uneducated now.
low voice.
Mm-hmm.
Like, nah, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, to
I mean,
a
that's
degree,
important to factor in.
are we? That's I think another thing you kind of have to factor in with personas is immaturity. The idea that like these guys who are making these like absurd personas, to a degree, it's because they think it's their best route. I would say,
Okay.
especially in Pump's case, he thought, "Yo, I'm funny. This shit's funny. People like it because it's funny, not because it's good. They like it because it's funny. I'm gonna keep going with it."
Because it's funny and because it's fun. It's something you can get behind easily.
Right. So, like with the Pump controversy, what was the first one? It was fuck J. Cole. Remember?
Fuck J. Cole. Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. It was fuck J. Cole.
That was the trolling.
It was
Exactly,
trolling,
that's
got him huge.
the troll. And how did that blow up?
He got an interview with J. Cole.
Exactly.
He played that right.
Didn't
That
J.
was-
Cole hold that
Exactly.
interview too? To try to see what was up with him?
Yeah,
What's
yeah.
going on
J.
through his
Cole
head?
got it together, and in my opinion, that is the greatest outcome that could have happened out of that whole thing for Pump, because either Pump was going to either go one of two ways. His fan base was going to continue to clash against J. Cole's, which would have been terrible for him, because in my opinion, J. Cole has much more longevity than Pump does in this game.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I think they both know it.
Here's the thing. That my opinion has started to sway upon that when I first initially thought of that, because I think Pump has more staying power in this game than I initially expected, but in a different direction than I initially intended.
Yeah.
But I would say that to both of their credits, that was the best outcome, because I think Cole wanted to basically meet this kid, and it's a great boost for him to be able to, let's go introduce myself to his audience. And to Pump's view, Pump was basically like, hey, this is great for me. I'm getting more exposure because of the guy who, like, I was trying to basically get his attention in the first place. Now he has my attention. And in addition, I can put this shit behind me, and I have a resolution to this without needing to have anything bad happen.
So you're telling me he was thinking all of that.
I don't think he was thinking all of that necessarily, but I think the truth of the matter is when Pump went into that interview, despite you can see how visibly nervous he is there. He probably was at the end of it was like, "Yo, that was hard. That shit was like, what the fuck? I'm glad it's over though. This is probably a better outcome."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I just don't see another way for that to have gone better.
No, I agree. I don't think it could have ended better than it did, because I mean, everybody got an extra 45 minutes of Pump and Cole. Like, who wouldn't want that?
Good.
Also,
I like that.
Pump and Cole got an extra 45 minutes. Just perpetual fame.
Exactly.
And also, I think it's important to mention that I don't know if it's benefit the doubt, but we're kind of giving that to these people that we're assuming have personas at young ages. Because I know it's obviously right to assume that this is Pump's persona, but just so people understand, we know that there is a possibility that this is just Pump, you know?
Yeah, this could just be what he is. The truth of the matter is we go upon this just because of the glimpses we've had into the sort of normality that we see upon these people.
Right.
Like, you look at Pump in the J. Cole interview, like, he is not the same kid that's, like, fucking on Nardwuar screaming a skit as his answer to every question. Like, those are two completely different interviews. Those are two different people having...
It's like
Yeah,
his
it's
older
not
uncle or
off
big
his
brother
hand.
just slapped him straight.
Yeah,
Just
for real.
let him
It's
know.
like Cole came
I've
up
been
to him
there.
beforehand and was like, yo, get this shit straight. I'm not gonna talk about your Zans. I'm not gonna talk about your bitches. I'm not gonna talk about your jewelry. I want to know you. Shut the fuck up and listen to me.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, he gave him a sneak peek into what it means to progress your persona, or just to mature in the music world.
more than even a sneak peek, he was like, look at I have done exactly what you did. I didn't climb the ladders in the same way you did. You blew up out of the fucking nowhere, which is a huge point that Cole touches upon. And I think that's also, to a degree, I think we can touch upon that when it comes to personas in general. But
yeah, it's very important.
I would say that, like, to a degree, Cole literally looked at him and was like, yo, I rose through the ranks. I got to where I needed to be through true grinding, saw all the fame take a hold of me, and then basically went, nah, that's not how you stay here. And then decided, let's go 10 years in the future and look at where I am now. I'm not doing drugs. I'm doing my shit safe. I'm trying to throw a message. You will probably be doing the exact same thing as me if you're going to do this smart and you want to have longevity in here. If not, you want to do yo fame shit, that's fine. But you're going to come to realize the exact same thing I did.
It's just a preview of tough love. It's honestly what he needed.
And I think that's very prevalent in 1985. I mean, that's pretty much what he says.
I feel like, and you look at his interview with what the hell is that woman's name that he I'm gonna have to search this up.
Right
he had
before
what?
The pump interview?
Yeah, right before the pump interview. What's that woman's name that he did an interview with?
I don't remember.
I'll have to search this up. But he has that interview with, I feel like is it Martinez? I want to say Martinez. Yup, Angie Martinez. I'm good at this. All right, so.
Nice.
So, yeah, Cole has an interview with Angie Martinez, and basically in that interview, he's talking about 1985, and he's like, yeah, I didn't mean that as a diss track. It's not a diss track. It's me basically being like, yo, listen to what I'm saying, because I'm not going to tell you it as like a lie. I'm going to tell you this in the truth in full, and you're going to understand that whether or not you disagree with it, this is what the realities are. You can try and change it and avoid them. You might get lucky and avoid them, but this is reality, and you're going to have to face it.
So
Right.
I do not agree. It's a reality check for all the youth in the media or in the music game right now.
Because he's speaking more than just Pump there. I feel like he's speaking to a plethora of people who even relate to his music.
Yeah.
Well, for the longest time, we didn't even know he was.
Sorry, you cut out. What'd you say?
Said for the longest time, you didn't even think he was talking about pump.
Yeah, for you and I both for the longest time thought he was talking about Perp because we knew that Perp had actually started the Fuck J. Cole movement, and that also he referred to him as a black dude, and we thought that and because of that we thought he was referring to Perp. Truth is, Cole just didn't know whether or not Pump was black.
There you go.
That's so much greater.
He had no idea. Like, the dude throws around the N-word like he's black, but the truth is he's Colombian. He just believes he can say it. So
I mean, yeah, so does 6ix9ine, right?
Yeah, well, okay, 6ix9ine's whole like defendants of why he can say it, I'm not even gonna get into because that was like the dumbest conversation between him and Charlemagne. Not to mention I already hate Charlemagne.
It's just because I dislike Charlemagne.
I'm definitely gonna have to go watch that interview now. But
oh my god, please don't.
I'd rather watch the Much Dank interview.
Yeah, the Much Dank one's much better.
What is his excuse?
His excuse is he grew up around it, and it doesn't mean the same thing to him. While as people who have been in that culture, it means something of prejudice and pain in the past. To him, it just means his homies, and that's why he's allowed to say it.
That totally adds up. Yeah, if you couldn't tell.
I did the math on that.
Math, perfect.
Yeah, carry the one.
So before we drop off the personas, though, for one more time, I want to go look at it. So we've been talking about sort of the cons, more or less, for the first part about this, but I want to talk about the pros of it because there are actually some positives to it, and we talked about it slightly in the beginning, and then I'm gonna go back and talk about it about what's it called, Slim Shady, in a second. But the pros here is the truth is they're entertaining. When you have a persona that's good and well run, it gets you popularity. We talk about X. X was pure aggression and pure unadulterated sort of hate and violence, and that sort of shit popped him off. He was like, yo, I can run with this shit fat. Let's see how big it gets me. Pump, same idea. Pump blew up in a year because he was stupid. People liked the idea that his music was meme. 6ix9ine was a troll and he blew up because of that. It's a trend we're seeing currently, and it's a trend for a reason. It's not going away. It makes sense. It's the idea that basically these people don't have to have longevity to them. They have to be entertaining enough for me that I'm gonna pay attention to them for 5 seconds. And if you can prove to me that you're worth more than my 5 seconds, I'll keep giving you another 5 seconds, and then it keeps adding up until eventually you've gotten a year's worth of fame, or etc. And that's sort of why these personas are really taking off at the moment.
Right.
So-
So before you get into Slim Shady, because that is the big.
It's
that
the
is
apex
big
of all of this, pretty much.
Right. So I wanna take a look at person who found success in the personas that I think you know where I'm going with. Mac Miller,
Interesting.
R.I.P.
They're gonna say riffraff.
Mac Miller had a lot of personas,
Elaborate.
quite a few.
You're not wrong.
You had,
Definitely.
just to name a few, Larry Lovestein, Delusional Thomas, all that stuff.
Yeah. I just wanted you
Um,
to elaborate.
and those are clearly all way different people.
Past that, when he took on a conceptual album, he took on a conceptual album as his persona. That was his persona
Correct.
for that time.
Correct. So I think when you see someone dive into that, really,
Hold up, give me a second, Ian. You're cutting out for me. You might need to restate that.
Yeah.
hello, can we try again?
You're good. Try again one
Yeah,
more
you're
time.
back.
Okay, we're gonna try again. So, like I said, when you have someone like Mac Miller who's gonna dive into that persona for that entire album, or whatever, that entire project, I think when you have someone dive into it as much as at least Mac Miller did, and choose a project, doesn't matter, you really get to see this other side of this person who, I mean, it's still him,
Mm-hmm.
but it's this completely alternate being.
It's made so that you sort of see them only in the persona that they're giving you. They want you to see that full effect of them.
Exactly. So like I said, when you have an album that dives into one specific one, you get to see all of it. And that's what makes it sharing a persona, at least, or going with it somewhere in that direction, feasible and productive, in my opinion.
Why it's an actual good move in certain instances.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
I think
what
that's
makes
fair.
it productive.
And so we go to look at what I'm going to call the apex of all personas, Slim Shady.
Yeah.
And so the reason I say the apex of what I'm going to call personas is because Shady basically and M decided, hey, I've got fame off of my initial shit. Why don't I just decide to make it as attention grabbing as possible? And that is exactly what the point of Shady is. There's no other point besides basically look at this as a different part of me that I'm gonna make your shit go, what the fuck is this dude talking about? Like the amount of times he says the F word in there, that's like crazy. I'm not gonna say it just out of respect right now. The amount of times he says I would say both retard and also what's it called? Just basically statements about rape and about like sexual assault. It's just
On his mother.
fucking nuts.
We
Yeah,
can't forget
but
that.
also at the same time, that is a different time as well. Like, realize we have people saying today that Grand Theft Auto 5 wouldn't come out in today's climate. Grand Theft Auto 5 was in 2014. We're talking all the way back into the 90s.
13.
That might have been,
Like
that's an entirely different world.
Yeah, the language was something else. I mean, think about Borderlands. That game, the language that they let through. Slim Shady had all the opportunity.
Yeah, and that's sort of where I give a lot of credit to Slim Shady in the first place. Is he saw that sort of the shock factor value that no one had really taken the approach of in rap music. He kind of went, "Yo, I see that everyone else in the rap game is already criticizing us for basically being violent, misogynistic pigs. Is the way that they're gonna describe us. All right, let's roll with it. Let's go as far as possible with it, and let's make them really think that. And if they don't see through it, they're a fucking idiot."
He did it beautifully.
it was perfect because the truth of the matter is, and this is where I think he did it in the best degree, is while he did that, he still put passion into his music. It wasn't just about the persona. He really wanted to make that music at the same time. Again, I think Mac Miller is a really good example, Ian. I hadn't even really thought about that as a persona, but yeah, that's true. He really liked his music when he was in that persona because he made it a part of him. He made that persona him for that moment.
So I have a question for you guys then. Do you think that also applies to the new wave? I'd say like Perp and Lil Pump especially, that it might be their different persona, that they're accentuating the fact that people think that they're stupid and they only use a few lines in a song. Do you think they're still putting a lot of passion behind it?
So I will say to a degree yes, and to a degree no. So in certain instances, you see Perp talking about the idea that basically this is easy music to him. He's got enough music talent that he could be doing more shit with this. So I think to a degree, they're now starting to fall under the spell of this is just them. They're limiting their potential and their talent as artists so that they can stick within their realm of persona. I think to a degree at the beginning, it might have been the thing influencing them and driving them, but I think now they're starting to just limit themselves for their personas.
Gosh. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's definitely different because you have. I mean, excuse me. I wouldn't compare Mac Miller to anyone, and I wouldn't compare Eminem to anyone.
Yeah, because they went through the fullest of their persona, and the difference is they had longevity to persona. So we don't know the outcome to a lot of these guys. The unfortunate truth is we know the outcome to a couple of them, and so far it hasn't been good.
It hasn't been great, exactly. What I will say is that a lot of it boils down to the fact that they themselves might not even know they're in that stage of their persona yet. We're talking about kids.
Yeah.
So with that,
Lil Pump's younger than me. He was born in 2000.
Oh God.
That's weird.
Stop making me feel old. I'm only 20.
But yeah, that's exactly my point. We're talking about people that haven't themselves grown up yet.
They haven't grown out of the persona yet.
Yeah. So how would they even know if you even asked them?
Have they not grown out of their persona, or have they just not matured yet?
It's both.
That's the question.
The point. The point is that the persona matures with them, and the issue is that the persona doesn't mature. It doesn't continue. And that is where we get to X. You're talking about maturing out of his persona. X matured out of his persona, but his persona didn't leave him. Well, he wanted to leave his past of, I am the top shit, I am the top king. It wouldn't leave him. And that's what, unfortunately, ultimately led to his last altercation. And that's why we are where we are today. Because while he wanted to leave that, I'm invincible, I got money, I got bitches behind, everyone that didn't keep up with him was like, yo, this guy's got money. He got a better life than I do. And he thinks he's the shit. Now I got to teach him. He's not. Knock him down a peg.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree with that. But I have... I don't want to change the topic just yet, just in case anybody has something to say on the matter.
I would say just before we sort of
still
finish off the topic, I would say the only thing I would say is that, so while we look at the sort of pros and cons of the persona as a whole here, I would say the truth of the matter is we don't really know what the end result of any persona is going to be. Whether it's a positive or negative for the music industry, it's kind of yet to be seen because this modern wave for personas is unknown. While personas have sort of popped up in the past, and in a lot of times it's actually shown off as a pretty good I would say outcome, because we get Tyler Creator, we get Mac Miller, we get Eminem, and I think it has led way to some of the best acts in hip-hop. We don't really know where this trend of personas is going to go. Whether or not it could end up producing some really good people, we get to see, but the truth of the matter is it's left an impact and it's here to stay, so whether or not you like it, it's might as well time to get informed and figure out what the fuck is going on. And what you can't deny that.
Agreed.
Yeah. So... Oh, yeah, go for it.
So, I think I have one more person to bring up in this persona thing, and he kind of throws a wrench in it because
make it too.
He covers a lot of bases, and his name is Donald Glover.
Oh.
What would you define Childish Gambino as?
So you went very broad with this one. This is someone everyone can understand. That's cool.
Took me a curveball there, buddy.
All right, so this
Yeah.
podcast is about to get 10 minutes longer.
Yeah, I also have another one after that I just want you guys to talk about. So
Okay, so Glover, I would say persona is his whole shtick. That is who he is persona after persona, and he observes
Right.
them in the most direct light possible so he can make the most accentuated version of that persona. That is what Because the Internet is. He took on the character of what's his name from that album. I forget what the name of the character is, and he exemplified that. He started there's even he talks about he started going to interviews and clothing he would characterize the guy from that album as so he could live it. It was like method acting to a degree.
Exactly.
And so,
but Donald Glover's an actor.
yeah, that's my
Yeah.
point. He took it. He basically took personas from a different view. He no longer went persona in just music. He went personas and I am a persona.
This is a lifestyle.
This persona is me now, and he
Okay.
knew. But I think the difference is he knew it was a persona, so it's a self-aware
Uh-huh.
persona, which is a little
He's,
different.
he's very aware of it because at the end of the day, he's Donald Glover.
Yeah, I would very much agree with that. I would say
I think
and
he's,
so that's
he's
sort
an
of
interesting
talented, man.
case in this whole talk about
he's an
personas.
interesting mix of everything because I think it's something that we hadn't seen besides I would say. Well, I'm not gonna say none of these personas are self-aware, but more than just being self-aware, he was self-expressive about the persona. He was very much like, "Yo, it is a persona, and watch how cool I can make it." And he was kind of it was less trying to make it seem like him and more trying to make it seem like, yes, this is a different side of me. He was very
Yes.
clear about that.
This is Childish Gambino, and Childish has.
Oh, you're cutting out. Hold
He's-
up, one more time.
What I was saying was he's showing a different side between what is Childish Gambino and Donald Glover. They're two, in his mind, entirely different people. But at the same time, they're also the same person.
Interesting.
And what
That's a
I'm
good way to
and what I mean by that, because I mean it's kind of confusing and I didn't really explain it, is that he understands that it's a persona and he at the end of the day is Donald Glover, but when he steps into the booth, when he's noticed in public as Childish Gambino, whatever, he in his mind can be that person. He can portray it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you saw him in public and said, it's Gambino, if you walk up and talk to him, he might act like that. But if you saw him in public and said, oh shit, Donald Glover, he might tell you a joke.
Interesting. So you're saying, can
I
you
like that
influence the
idea.
persona depending on how do you react to it?
Correct.
Yeah, I would say yeah. I would say definitely. That definitely is accurate. What you're speaking to upon. I think that would be definitely depending on the person. I would think imagine you go up to Pump in real life and you call him by his real name.
Exactly. If you called that man Gazzy Garcia,
You
Turn
think he's
around
gonna?
and-
You think he's gonna
No.
fucking act like Pump, or you think he's gonna be like, "Yo, what's up? Who are you?"
yeah, exactly.
Like,
Interesting.
Exactly.
Point.
I think that's true. I think that's a very fair point. I think that that's interesting. Sort of the to a degree. What does the self-aware persona mean? Does that mean self-aware as in you're willing to step away from it, or does that mean self-aware as in you understand it?
Yeah, are you willing to understand it and maybe even
Like break from it for a second. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
cool stuff?
All right. So
Yeah. I just had a quick question, just somewhat of a conclusion area. Just because I am not super familiar with a lot of the people that have been blowing up and all around, I wanted to ask you guys about Little Peep. May he rest in peace, of course.
okay.
Because I wasn't familiar with the guy, and I started listening to some of his music after he passed away and looking into like who he was. And I just want to hear you guys' take on that. You think he was building a persona, or was that just who he was and he was developing out of?
I'll let Oliver speak on this one first.
So I'll speak upon this one because I think I have what I'm going to say is probably the purest opinion of him, because I'm someone who came in from sort of a very sympathetic standpoint because I learned more about him after his death than ever before. Ian, hold up. What's up with your mic, bro? We'll go back to
Better?
that in a second. Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
But Peep was the literal opposite of a persona to me. He was the very definition of going past it. It wasn't him trying to exemplify a part of himself as much as that was the only part he saw of himself. Every single time I saw interviews about Peep, it was basically him in his mind talking about the sort of sadness he was going through and that his music was who he was. There was no disconnect between him and his music. That they were one and the same. You look at his sort of songs and his lyricism, and it was true pain and sort of him acknowledging who he was and what he was going through. And the truth is, it's what took him out. When you see how he passed away, it was exactly what he was talking about in his songs. It was someone, he has lyrics speaking about taking Xanax. He has lyrics speaking about laced drugs. He has lyrics speaking about take me away from my pain, take me away from my addictions.
Everything.
Yeah, and the truth is, it was a cry for help that basically was sort of fueled by his fans. The persona part you can say here, if you're going to put a persona in any place, was that his persona was genuineness, and that sort of personality he was showing off, and that sort of like aspect of himself he was trying to accentuate was genuineness and sort of sadness, and that was who he was. And to his fans, if they saw that as a persona, that's fine, but that was what they were trying to sort of be like, yeah, this is who we like of you.
Okay.
Ian, I don't know if you disagree or agree.
No, I definitely disagree.
You
For
disagree
me,
or
at
agree?
least, I wouldn't disagree. I wouldn't say let's just say this. Here's what I think. For me, at least, when Lil P passed away, I was never into his music because for me, I had nothing to relate it to.
Mm-hmm.
So his message for whoever was listening, or at least how I perceive it now, flew right over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't even looking for it because to me, it didn't resonate. It was only until I looked back and went into it and was myself going through something that I realized, oh, maybe there is something here. And then you kind of put yourself not in the same position, but at least you can put pieces of your life into pieces of others and kind of
You can kind of understand
that's
it.
kind of how
you can find the
you can find the similarity
to become
yeah,
sympathetic.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can find the similarity and, like you said, the sympathy, definitely. And I think I definitely found that. And his music became it became entirely different to me, like to the point where I was like, no, I don't even listen to this dude, he's Lil Peep is like a voice of a generation, and he was only here for how long?
Mm-hmm. He had more influences than most people would think.
He had so much. It got to the point where
You cut out one more time?
It got to the point where I was like watching interviews and stuff like that, where I didn't even know why, and I got so involved in this person, and I realized something. I was really seeing a person.
Mm-hmm.
Lil Peep was so genuine. He was
Peep.
Real.
Yeah, he was himself.
Exactly. Like when you saw him on his video or on a video, like rapping something or saying something, like you felt it. But like when he went and explained what he was talking about in a video, you felt the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm. When you watched him in an interview, you felt the exact same emotions you felt when you were listening to his music.
Exactly,
and that's
because
powerful.
you could just hear it from his voice.
Mm-hmm. It's very powerful when you have that sort of transparency with your fans.
Absolutely.
And it's
so
real.
When you say if there is any persona, it's being genuine. I 100% agree with that.
And that's if you were to call it a persona, even at all.
If you were to call it, if you had to give it a title.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you have like Come Over When You're Sober Part 2 came out recently, and
it's different.
It's 100% different. And once again, you're seeing this change. But for me, I'm not seeing a change in persona. I'm seeing a person getting better, not just better as a rapper. I'm seeing mentally he's
he was letting
being
go
better.
at the end. It's kind of unfortunate that he had to pass where he was, because I feel like he was trying to attempt to become a better person in what he was trying to make, and
it was more for himself than anyone else, and that was about
I
it.
think to a degree, I would say also Come Over When You're Sober Part 2 is just, it might also be, I think, part of it why it feels more uplifted is because I think he got taken over by his label and they more went for that feel, considering that after he passed away, they wanted to make it as probably as least somber as possible, just because of the circumstances.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have to realize it so long before he even passed that like I feel like the label had not a lot of control over how the feel of the album came out.
I
At
would
least.
say yes and no. I would say that they can't change his lyricism, but they can change the beats and the way that how they try to, I would say, advertise it. Because I would
The
say,
advertising
especially,
I see, but the beats, isn't that more or less what's his name? Who was producing the album?
Smoke-a-Sack? No, I don't think
Yeah.
Smoke-a-Sack has as much involvement in Come Over When You're Sober too.
I think he has a lot of involvement in Come Over.
All right, let's go. Let's find that out. Actually, that's something I
Yeah.
can search up.
I would actually be curious to find that out because I think someone has to put that together, and I think that's him, right?
So to be honest, I don't quite know. But the more or less, I know that I think, yeah, the whole thing was produced by Smoke-a-Sack. You are correct upon that. So my question more or less would be, what would the labels have touched then? Because when you talk to his mom and such, his mom has basically been like, I have been so hands off with his music, I've let the label mess with everything. So the question would be, did the labels also have influence upon what Smoke-a-Sack was doing? Did after he passed away, they go, all right, so now we got money for you instead of Peep? And and I would hope not, but to me, when listening to Come Over When You're Sober Part 2, it felt very much that way, that it was influenced by popularity over genuineness to a degree.
Interesting.
I wouldn't say a large amount, but I would say enough that it's noticeable in comparison to Come Over When You're Sober Part
1. Interesting.
So, but that's just my take.
I would call it, at least for me, I viewed it more change in state of mind more for him, but maybe, I don't know, that's just how I saw it. Because I saw that vibe going more there, and I saw him becoming happier as a person. And I think, because like everybody has stages, whether you want to call it a persona, a midlife crisis, whether you want to call it whatever. Yeah, Peep had different colors of hair.
I think at the end of this, I think what we're more or less realizing is that persona can be applied to anything if you really try hard enough. But the truth is that whether or not you want to approach that persona, it is a part of the person, regardless. It is not detached from them in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
That's important to acknowledge.
Very important. So, all right. So before we make this too long, so I think this is probably over an hour at this point, which it's fine by me. I ain't give a flying fuck.
Yeah, skip around if you need, guys.
Skip around. I'll try.
Please do.
I'll probably try to make labels, but I probably won't. So before we close this out, I just want to kind of go in for a more quick lightning round. We got 1 month left. We've got, as of today, we have 1, 2, 3, and then another 31. So 34 days left of 2018. What do you guys have? What are you looking at for the rest of the year coming out that it's got you excited?
Well, this weekend
Cut out one more time. Try again.
So, Earl Sweatshirt's album is this Saturday Friday. Right. Excuse me. Is this Friday, and I am going to be more interested in how different that is from old Earl, because I know it's a little different and experimental.
A little?
A lot.
God.
A lot.
I mean, listen, I don't even dislike his new stuff coming out, but it is going to be wild to see the reactions to that fucking album. I'm fascinated to see what people think of that album.
I'm gonna
gonna
be
be-
surprised.
Yeah.
To say
I'm
the least.
gonna throw a curveball in the wrench right now because I think this is something that a lot of people have been sort of thrown under the radar. Fucking Vince has been talking about putting out another project this year before the end of
Another one?
2019, which he's talked about it at ComplexCon in an interview. I don't think it's gonna happen, but if he can even get one early 2019, I'll be fucking happy. That's great to hear him wanting to put out new shit.
That'd
And
be
I'll
awesome.
throw out Isaiah Rashad there too. We don't know when Rashad's or Schoolboy's albums are coming out. I think the release schedule with TDE right now is they want to put out Q first. But if they'll put out Shad first, I mean, shit.
Why not both? Give me both.
Q said I think he was delaying his album because of Mac. I think that's what he was talking about.
Makes sense.
It would make sense.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah, go for it.
Yoni, who are you excited for? I want to hear it.
For me personally, I'd like to. My statement also applies to hopefully a lot of people in my situation too. It's that right now I'm putting my nose to the grind with college applications and projects. So I'd like to give a shout out for everybody that's putting their nose to the grind and getting through that. And that's why we're here for you, to let you know what's going on in music. And that's why I have these boys who are educated.
Huge, exactly. Because yeah, you should be at school and we'll be doing this.
This is
Yeah.
what I like to do in my
Exactly.
free
Let
time. This
us
is my free
fail.
time.
Succeed your hardest, guys.
Yeah.
So
So shout out to everybody studying.
shout out to the people who don't have time to actually figure out new music, so that's why they come
Do
here.
dumb shit like
And
this.
shout out
Yeah,
to the
that's why they
people
come here
who are
for it.
gonna offer us new people to talk about and give us topics.
So, in addition to what we stated beforehand, though, so we got Q coming out. We got the new Earl sweatshirt, or we hope Q or Rashad possibly new
Yeah.
Vince. I'm trying to think of anyone else who's been talking about it. I got the new 6ix9ine came out today.
I have a question.
Oh yeah.
Album of the year.
Oh, okay. So you want to go? So are we doing? So are we just gonna keep doing? Should we just do album of the year updates every single time that when we're doing these podcasts? Just album. What at your moment where you going top
At
5?
the moment, yeah, sure, why not?
All right, so we'll end off each. That's a good way to. That'll be a good tradition. End of the podcast. What's your top 5 for the album for the year right now?
I like it.
Okay, so I'm not gonna. So this is gonna be an interesting one. This may change next week just because I don't like putting new albums into my top 5 because it's hard for me because I don't think I've digested them enough. Jid came out 2 days ago, so that's gonna be. I'm not gonna put him on there right now. It's too hard for me to try and put him there because it's just not fair.
Okay.
In terms of what we're gonna look at, probably for all year, what I think is my favorite, easy 3 I'm gonna throw in there are gonna probably be Swimming, Taboo, Astroworld, and I guess I'd have to say KSG and KOD.
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
like Fancy Ghost a lot.
Yeah.
Solid picks.
Okay. Yoni, what do we got?
I'm trying to think right now. The only two that I have running through my head without any, research behind or checking any lists, so I can think about what's come out, what I've listened to. About 2 that would be in my top 3: Swimming and 444.
444 come out this year? That was last year, wasn't it?
Was it?
That was
Was it
last
last year?
Yeah, that was last year.
There's no way that was this year.
I just love Jay-Z so much. It feels like it's every year.
Understandable.
Well, hold up. Let me make sure, because if it's not this year, then I really
It
am
definitely
It's
thinking
last year.
about it.
It's last year.
It was 100%
Oh
last
Lord. Oh Lord. Okay, well, we're gonna have to come back to me next podcast, all right, boys?
You're gonna come back with a definitive answer. We put you on a spot too quick. You ain't got that ready.
I got
We're
Swimming
doing
on
fine.
there because it's very
Okay.
powerful and moving. You can listen
All right,
to that.
so here are my top 5 in no particular order because I can't order them right now.
Understandable.
Mhm.
So I have to put Taboo in there. I have to put Swimming in there. And just because of Oliver's rule, I won't put DiCaprio, but it's going to be.
It probably will be. Next week, we're going to see who kicks off.
I'm going to tell you what. I'll give Oxnard the 5 spot right now.
Interesting. Okay.
I really like Oxnard. I'm also going to have to throw 1.5 in
12.5 was good. I'm
Amine, excuse me.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
pretty solid.
last but not least, just for fun, we'll throw in Vacation in Hell.
I forgot Vacation in Hell came out this year.
Mhm,
Fuck
that
me,
was also
man.
this year.
Yo, Black Panther soundtrack came out this year too.
Oh, fuck.
It's been a long fucking year, yo.
Wait a minute, this
Uh,
podcast might have to go on another hour.
Yeah, but if we're going to shout outs though, I'm gonna go shout out Milky Way by Boz. That was fire. Daytona was
that's
fire.
fire.
Fucking love Daytona. All of Yay was good. All of the fucking what was it? Surgical Summer shit was good. I'm gonna say giving out another shout out Die Lit Playboy Cardi. God fucking damn. I love that album. Weird
Shout
album.
out to the music inspired by Dr. Tyler the Creator. Big Bag was huge.
Big bag. Yeah, and,
Are we giving Drake any mentions this year?
No,
I mean,
shut up.
No.
I don't think he classifies for our podcast.
Dude, I don't even wanna shut up.
I don't want
I
to talk
just thought
about
it was
him.
funny to mention.
Anyone else?
Did
oh.
Pumpkin came out last year, right?
I'm gonna do this one for Mr. Jackson Wong. Shout out
Shout out what?
One more time.
88 Rising.
Oh
Heaven Clouds.
shit, that's right. What's it called? Came out this year. Fucking yeah. What's that tape called?
Head in the Clouds.
Summertime something, I think.
It's called Head in the Clouds.
Head in the Clouds. Jesus Christ, I can't figure out my shit. Summertime something
Oh,
is the name.
how could I not put this on here? I forgot. One of my albums.
Still saying Pumpkin Max
100% in Hive Mind, the internet.
Hive Mind came out this year too. So, all right. So Yoni, now that you've heard all of our like random just sort of shout outs for this year, including our top 5, there you go. You got some shit to digest before next week.
There you go. Yeah,
I
it was a little.
definitely do.
So, yeah,
Also, if I could, just one thing, boys. If I could recommend a song, just people to listen to.
It's
in
gonna
their
be Young
free
Gerby.
time. No, I mean I was gonna give a little shout out, but he's a little old, and that's fun. And I was thinking of giving a shout out just from the bottom of my heart to the YBN crew, but I don't know. The mixtape kind of made it tough for me.
You used to be so up on them boys, and then they put out
I
a tape, and you
know.
were like,
I
"What
think
is
a
this?"
lot of people did.
I still have faith. It's just I want to give them some time before I put that, like, you know.
Fair, very fair.
But no,
You guys know
just
Jay is a kid.
because in honor of the death of the creator of SpongeBob, I don't want to mess up.
So
his name
Oliver,
right now.
give me a song that
Wait, in honor of
people should-
SpongeBob, who are you shouting out? Hold up first.
Oh no, I'm
The
just
creator
shouting
of
out if anybody wants to listen to Honolulu March. It's one of the big just soundtracks that they use in SpongeBob that I feel will apply to anybody's life and feels pretty uplifting. It's like you're chilling on the beach, you know.
I'll try to make that the intro for this episode if I can remember.
that would be great.
Good move.
So since Yoni gave us everybody should listen to, Oliver, give us not everybody knows.
Give me a what?
Listen to.
A song.
Give
not
us a
everybody
song
knows.
that people should go out and listen to.
All right, where's my SoundCloud?
All right, so I'm gonna give you mine right now.
Go.
Matt Martian's The Drum Chord Theory, that whole album.
Hmm.
But you have to listen to the song. Listen to Baby Girl. Really good.
Baby Girl by who?
Matt Martians.
All right, I'm gonna have to go back to the end of this and just put our recommendations of the week here.
Oh,
Uh,
I kind of want to give one real song then too.
Nah, dude, like
Save
joke
it for
songs,
next
That's a
week.
legitimate song. You
true.
put a song that's in honor of someone. That's better than
Honestly, yeah, that's a
than any
beautiful
song we
song.
could actually say. You do know that, right?
Yeah, it's true. I'll leave it there. It's a fun one and it's a good place.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to my SoundCloud because my SoundCloud's got a bunch of shit that like I just think that is usually just slept on. And so let's see how many. I want to see if this is actually slept on enough that I can legitimately give it a shout out. Because
This week's Oliver's most slept on.
there's most slept on. I mean, it's just listen. What I'm trying to do with this is more or less just give some people some experience into some new shit. I
broaden
think
their
what I'll
horizons.
do for now is just because I want to kind of go. We've been talking about South Florida the whole day, and we talked about Pump, X, all them boys. I feel like out of everything, I just got to give a shout out to Ski, just because of the fact that like, deadass. We've been talking about him all day, and I got a bunch of underground shit on there. So I can't find it on my SoundCloud, but I'll look for it later just so I can. I think this is the name of it. Yeah, Ski. Okay, so it's Ski and Warhol.ss ankle. Warhols is fire. The dude's not is underground as fuck. Ski Mask underground as fuck. Ski Mask and Warhols. Ankle. Great song. Slaps. Gonna recommend that if we're looking for any sort of new underground shit, anything like that. So
Big shout out, Ski Mask.
I love it, boys.
big shout out. So yeah, thank you for tuning in to the Untitled podcast. That's probably gonna be the name of it for now. We may end up just even keeping that name, but that's the easiest one we can go for right now. It's been Wack Shit Radio. I'll see you all next week. If you'd like to see more than just weekly, please let me know. If you've got any recommendations for topics, any recommendations for people to talk about, anything you'd like to hear our opinions on, please hit us up on SoundCloud, on YouTube, and on Twitter. Anywhere you guys want to hit us up, any recommendations, really appreciate it. So we'll see you next week as of right now, and thank you for listening.